Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be giving my match predictions for week 17 Premier League fixtures and what a set of results we just had for week 16. We saw so many penalty decisions like we saw for Chelsea, for Manchester City, for Liverpool and even Manchester United, which helped them all to wins. We saw Steven Gerrard return back to home, obviously Anfield. We saw Leeds challenge Chelsea well, but a penalty saved like I said, and we saw Wolves go down to 10 men and had an amazing game against Manchester City, and we're still able in dying embers of the game to show that they can still be a threat even with 10 men. For the smaller sides, you actually did yourself proud. Even Norwich a 1-0 defeat when they had so many chances to put Manchester United away. So let's just hope for more drama, for more entertainment, for more thrills, like I always say in terms of the Premier League fixtures. And for this week fixtures, it looks like it's going to be amazing. We've got Manchester City versus Leeds, both teams looking to play in the front foot. We've got Brentford versus Manchester United, a smaller side, a team which just got up into the Premier League, playing at home versus one of the biggest sides in world football. We know the fans are going to be up for that. And we've got Liverpool versus Newcastle. But before going this video, you know I'm going to say, make sure you guys like, comment and hit that big subscribe button right there. And make sure you guys in the comment section give me your own predictions. So the first fixture I'm going to be talking about is Manchester City versus Leeds. Both offensive-minded managers who are drilled in the way they want to play football. Both teams like to press. Leeds favour a man-to-man marking system, whereas Manchester City prefer to press as a unit, as a team. So let's see who's going to get the better of each other in terms of this week's game. But in terms of this game, let me just start with Manchester City. A gritty, hard fought-out victory against Wolves, who I've said would be a challenge against Manchester City, as they were a challenge against Liverpool. Manchester City were only able to capitalise on a 1-0 win. In the first half, they moved the ball quite slow, side to side, had no intensity, no ambition in going forward. But in the second half, it all changed. And they were able, especially in the first 10-15 minutes of the game, to really endanger and hurt Wolves. But at the end of the day, it was a controversial penalty decision which actually saved Manchester City, which helped Raheem Sterling get his 100th goal in the Premier League in terms of enjoying the 100 Cup. So congratulations to him. So going into the game against Leeds, I feel like it's going to be completely different compared to the game against Wolves. Leeds aren't going to sit back, have a structured back five and literally look to counter against Manchester City. We saw last season, even going down to 10 men, they stuck in essence with their man-to-man marking and were able to beat Manchester City at the Etihad. So Manchester City are going to have to know that Leeds are going to be a threat, and on their day, Leeds can literally endanger anyone, like we saw against Chelsea, nearly being able to snatch a point at Stamford Bridge. We know Leeds love to play their man-to-man marking football and try to press high up on the pitch, and Manchester City is going to play into their hands if they play it right. We know Manchester City are the best team in the world when it comes to playing out from the back, especially when you have a goalkeeper as comfortable as Ederson with the ball at his feet. Laporte, Diaz, Walker, all comfortable as well with the ball at their feet. So if they can transition the play from the defence into the midfield without losing the ball, there's going to be so much space and opportunities for players like Foden, Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne, who are all well rested. I know sometimes you need a clinical striker in and around the box like you did against Wolves, and maybe they would have won the game by more, especially with their subtle movement. But there's just going to be so much space for Manchester City that they're not going to need their number 9 or classic number 9, which they don't have in their side. I feel like their fluid movement, the way they're going to interchange positions, is just going to be enough, because there's going to be so much space for Manchester City to capitalise on Leeds' deficiencies. So going into this game, I am going to be predicting a 3-1 victory for Manchester City at the Etihad. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Brentford versus Manchester United. And like I said in my introduction, we got a newly promoted side versus one of the biggest sides in world football. So we can guarantee that the Brentford fans are going to be up for this, giving the Brentford players the extra 10 to 15% they need to potentially win this game. And we have seen Brentford all season against the big sides, especially at home. Against Arsenal, against Liverpool, against Chelsea. Although not winning most of those games, they were still able to put a fight up against every single side and show on their day they can be a danger to any side they play. But going into the game against Manchester United, let me just start off with the away team. And the game against Norwich, although being the exact same scoreline, winning 1-0 away from home, as they did against Crystal Palace at Old Trafford, the performance was the complete opposite. Manchester United didn't press, they didn't look to play in the front foot, they weren't able to literally provide those penetrating passes into Bruno Fernandes straight away with players like Fred and McTominay in the midfield. Although Fred did have a good game overall, they were slow. It looked like they didn't have that much rest, considering the fact that most of the players weren't playing in the Champions League tie midweek, so they all had a week to rest and actually be able to adopt Ralph Rangnick's style of play when it comes to pressing the football. It looked like a completely different Manchester United side, and dare I say, in spurts, in a moment, it felt like I was looking at Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his style of playing football. And honestly, I feel like Manchester United were actually extremely poor in this game, and if they were playing any other side except for Norwich, they probably would have lost. Norwich had so much space, especially down the flanks where Sancho and Bruno Fernandes had to keep tracking back. But going into this game against Brentford, if Manchester United actually dared to play the same style of football like they did against Norwich, I am telling you, Brentford are good enough to beat you. And in this game against Brentford, they're going to be up for this. They're going to be happy. They're going to be ecstatic. They're going to be so happy that they're going to verse one of the biggest sides in the world, Manchester United, and expect Brentford to bring their A game like they've been doing all season against the top teams in this league. Brentford are going to make this game like a classic underdog tie where they're going to be launching the ball long to Ivan Toney, try win those 50-50 balls, try have the speed, intensity, the energy to win the ball first, try control and dictate the midfield battle with the challenges and winning the ball in areas where they can counter and actually attack Manchester United. And if Manchester United are complacent and they don't wake up like they did against Norwich in the first 20 minutes, they could potentially lose this game. And honestly, just watching the game against Norwich, I don't feel like Manchester United fans should be filled with any hope going into the game against Brentford that they will win this game comfortably. We've seen teams struggle there, and I feel like Manchester United are going to be one of the teams who struggled there, and they're going to lose the essence of keeping control of the game, which Ralph Rangnick loves to go about in his news conferences. So going into this game, I don't feel like Manchester United are going to lose, because as you saw, like we always see, Ronaldo will have a poor game, but at the end of the day, he will score and he will save his team a point or even get them the 3 points like he's been doing every single game pretty much this season. So in terms of this game, I thought it's going to be a classic game, a lot of goals, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw between these two sides. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Arsenal versus West Ham, and what a game this is going to be. A London derby with both sides looking to challenge for the top four this season. West Ham obviously already in the top four race, because there's literally fourth right now in the table. And then we've got Arsenal, who just came off a good victory against Southampton at the Emirates Stadium. But in terms of this game, let me just start with Arsenal. A good win, a standard win against Southampton. Although in the first 20 minutes it did look like they were under pressure, they were getting suffocated by Southampton's press, and potentially a better side with better clinical finishing, they would have put Arsenal away. Arsenal were able to survive the storm and control the game after the first 20 minutes. Arsenal fans were probably reminiscing with their style of play, the way they were able to play out from the back for the first goal. They were controlled with ease, the way Southampton were trying to press the ball but couldn't get near them, the way they were able to transition the play from the defence to the midfield to the attack to score that beautiful goal. The Arsenal fans must have been thinking, wow, those days, we only see it in spurts and moments, not fluently, not all the time like we were used to on the days of Arsene Wenger. But those days are gone, and Arsenal were able to win the game, and that's all that matters, right? Winning games at home, being able to beat the lower sides in this league, because, let's be honest, Arsenal have been doing it on a consistent basis this season, beating Watford, Newcastle, Aston Villa, getting all important wins, which is going to help their case of finishing in the top four this season. And don't get me wrong, winning against the lower side teams is important, considering the fact that you want to finish in the top four race. Beating these sides, all these points are going to add up and potentially might see you finish fourth in the Premier League table. But don't get it twisted, Arsenal still need to beat the bigger sides in this country. They failed to beat Liverpool, they failed to beat Man City, Chelsea, Manchester United, and they potentially might even struggle to beat West Ham. These are the sort of games you need to pick up points so you can disadvantage your opponents, whilst giving you the benefit of actually being higher than them in the table to continue competing for the top four race. And Arsenal have just been struggling against the big sides. I don't know if they just lack the belief, they lack that they can actually pull off a result like this, or they just don't have the quality in terms of the players. Whenever I see them play the bigger sides in this country, although Odegaard has been performing decent in his last few games or so, just passes it sideways, has no ambition, has no cutting edge to actually provide that through ball for the strikers to get advantage of, to try and score the goals. Smith Rowe, up and down, up against the smaller sides, but down when it comes to the big games in terms of the Premier League this season. I don't know if Arsenal have the belief beating a West Ham side who in actual reality have been beating all the top sides this season, beating Manchester United, Manchester City in the Carabao Cup, and then beating Liverpool, beating Chelsea, beating Tottenham, all in the Premier League this season. So we've got one team on one side who can't beat the big sides, and we've got another side who have been comfortably beating the big sides. And not only that, Arsenal all season have been struggling to break down low blocks, so I don't expect this to be any different against a West Ham side who we know under David Moyes are well drilled, organised when it comes to defending goals in terms of 90 minutes. So in terms of this game, although Arsenal are home, I'm going to be predicting a 2-1 away win for the Hammers. So the next game I'm going to be predicting is Liverpool versus Newcastle, the Scousers versus the Geordies, and let's see who's going to win this game. But in terms of this game, let me just start off with Liverpool. Sitting comfortably second in the table, were able to pull off another 1-0 victory against Aston Villa, a very good side who have been in very good form under Steven Gerrard, the new boss obviously at Aston Villa. But in terms of the game itself, I'm very happy, because Liverpool were able to keep another clean sheet, which we've been lacking to do all season, especially at the start of the season where we were conceding goals for fun against AC Milan, Atletico Madrid, other teams in the Premier League as well, against Brentford, Man City. We were just conceding goals for fun, and we heavily relied on our forwards to keep bailing us out, scoring many goals. And now it looks like the opposite. We've seen Jota been struggling scoring goals, easy chances in front of goals, goals you expected him to score. Even players like Mane, who's suffering a little bit from a 1 or 2 game goal drought, not scoring that many goals. But the fact that we can rely on Matip, Van Dijk, Robertson and Trent Alexander-Arnold, the back four, to keep clean sheets, this is a solid foundation for Liverpool to build upon, especially if you want to compete for the Premier League. Yes, goals win you games, but defence wins you titles, and this is what Liverpool have been relying on, especially in the tricky period of Christmas where there's games every 3 or 4, so you're not going to be at your best, but at least we can rely on our defence to keep giving us victories when we need them. Not to disrespect the away team, but I just expect this to be a standard, easy, straightforward victory for Liverpool. If Liverpool are 6 or 7 out of 10, that's just going to be enough to beat a Newcastle side who are in the relegation zone so far. The game plan is going to be clear. Make sure you stop St. Maximin, their main talisman, who's able to create chances out of nothing. If we can keep him quiet, Newcastle don't really have that much quality within their side to actually hurt a Liverpool side who have been keeping clean sheets so far this season. Newcastle have been defending like a championship side all season, so pretty much Liverpool's front three, although have not been scoring goals in the last 2 games or so in the Premier League, I expect them to pick up this form again, have the bit between their teeth to try to prove a point that they can still score goals at the highest level, which no one really has doubts about. But obviously, Klopp is going to try and give them that extra motivation to try and score goals, because we're going to need them, especially in the next few weeks or so. So in terms of this game, straightforward victory, 3-0 for the home side. So the next game I'm going to be predicting, and the last game, is Chelsea versus Everton. And this has the potential to be one of the best games all weekend. We got Chelsea sitting in 3rd in the league, were able to win against Leeds, and although people said they didn't deserve it, but pretty much with the penalty the way Rudiger dived and laughed at the Leeds fans, it was ecstatic as soon as Jorginho scored the goal. They still got the 3 points, and that's all what matters in this Christmas period. Like I always say, where you're not always going to be at your A-star best. All what matters sometimes in this period of time is just to get the result, because the points add up. And not only that, I know Liverpool and Manchester City were able to win scruffy just like Chelsea. Chelsea really needed this victory, because it felt like just in this period of time they were teetering away, because they drew against Manchester United, drew against Burnley and lost against West Ham, and they haven't been in the finest form. So if they drew against Leeds, potentially they wouldn't have the confidence, they maybe would have lacked the belief that they could have chased down 2 top sides in Europe, not only just in England, Manchester City and Liverpool. But in terms of this game against Everton, it's going to be a difficult game. You can't take Everton lightly, especially a Rafa Benitez side who we know is going to stay solid, compact, defend as a unit, as a team, and try make sure Chelsea lack the creativity to create chances on a consistent basis to hurt them. I think playing players like Jorginho, who has been in decent form, rectifying the mistakes he did against West Ham and Manchester United, scoring 2 decisive penalties to help beat Leeds, is going to be instrumental to dictate the flow, the tempo, the speed of the game, to provide those cut-edging passes to players like Havertz and Mount to pick up the ball in the half turn, to provide other chances for their teammates as well. He's going to be pivotal in the game. Chelsea are just going to have to be patient in terms of breaking Everton down and not be rash and get frustrated easily. Otherwise, you're just going to be launching the ball in the box, and Rafa Benitez is going to prefer you doing this. We saw Manchester City be patient against Everton and eventually break them down and have so much joy. And especially if Chelsea get the first goal early, Everton are going to have to get out their shape and their shell and try challenge Chelsea. And we know Chelsea, with space and time and opportunities, they're going to be able to seal this game away easily against Everton. I can't see Everton keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea or making it hard and difficult over the course of 90 minutes, especially due to the fact that they've lost 8 games in a row before the game against Arsenal. And maybe Everton do have their spirit, maybe they do have their hunger back, especially beating Arsenal. But I just don't see them beating Chelsea. Chelsea on another level compared to Arsenal. And Chelsea have been doing good against the top sides in terms of the Premier League this season. So going into this game is going to be a fairly simple victory like Chelsea always do against Everton at Stamford Bridge in their last 2 seasons. And I'm going to be predicting a fairly comfortable 3-0 victory for the home side at Stamford Bridge, Chelsea.